Hey friends, Jeff Faldolan. I just finished watching a news report about Michael Jackson having a heart attack and basically passing away. What I've been talking about through most of my videos is it is a perfect example of not being able to, seeing his fame and his fortunes and his legacy and everything else, but people not understanding that there's an entire story to his life. And I mean, he was tormented from a child on up. You read anything about Michael Jackson as his offstage life, it's a sad story. And as adults, we have the opportunity to respond to our childhood the way that we want to. But again, it's people looking on the outsides, trying to fix their insides, where we need to look at our insides to fix our outsides. It's all, our life is a reflection of who we are. And he was constantly tormented by being perfect. I mean, his dad just basically, had to be perfect, and from day one he stepped on that stage, he owned the stage, and he became an icon. And unfortunately, because of his mental and emotional state, he ended up getting caught up in this child stuff. And I don't care what you can say. I mean, I give credit where credit's due. The guy was an icon. He was a legend. He was an incredible entertainer. He was called King of Pop for a reason. And I just hope people can see his creativity and be able to look past some of the things that happened to him, because the guy was tormented. I mean, I heard some of the reports that if you look at Anna Nicole Smith, how she was treated by the people around her, times that by 10, because everybody wanted a piece of him. It was just a toxic environment for him. If you're putting yourself in a toxic environment, you're going to get what you get. I mean, that's why it's so important for us to be very selective on who we let in our inner circles, and especially with business. I mean, they said another thing I wasn't aware of, but they said that the reason he was so financially successful is he bought half the Beatles albums. I wasn't aware of that. Besides the fact of being a king of pop and selling 50 million albums on Beat It or whatever. But just look what happened to him. I mean, he transformed into, he wasn't even recognizable towards the latter part of his life. Because he became so obsessed with how he looked and everything else. I mean, the torment that he went through, and I'm not going to minimize the charges and stuff like that. He had unhealthy relationships with children, because children you can trust. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not validating that, but when you see his life for what it really was, I mean, it makes sense that, he'd have to have an outlet. He'd have to go with something that would make him feel good. But it was perverted, and that's, what I really want to encourage you is be very true to what you put inside of you and where you're getting the things that make you feel good. Look at making yourself feel better by the perceptions of how you achieve things. I mean, I just finished reading the book, The New Psycho-Cybernetics, and friends, I highly recommend that book. It was unbelievable. There was many insights for me, and I mean, I've read hundreds of books, and like I said, been in self-development for over 20 years, and I got a lot of epiphanies out of this book. It was incredible, and I highly encourage you to read it, because it's really our responsibility to define our level of success. I mean, success is nothing more than making a decision and staying committed to that decision and being willing to go through whatever it takes for us to achieve the success. And we're going to get out of it what we expect out of it, and that means, if we're going to expect failure, guess what? We're going to prove that right. We are human. It is human nature for us to justify and validate our beliefs. But just because we believe it doesn't mean that it's what's right for us. I mean, and Michael Jackson is a perfect example of that. Despite his creativity, I mean, the guy was absolutely insanely creative. And he's a legend, and he will be always looked at that way, but it will always be scarred because he would not deal with his demons. And I've had many demons in my life that I've had to look at, and everybody does, but the fact is whether you examine it or not, I mean, it's like I said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And we cannot really connect with other people until we connect with ourselves and get in touch with our weaknesses and the things that hold us back from the success that we want to achieve. To live a balanced life. I mean, Christ talks about it many times in the Bible, and you can have your opinion of the Bible, but until you've read it and understand it, then there's reasons why Christ said the things that he said. He said, "Blessed are the meek." What meek really means is power under self-control. It's being able to have emotional intelligence rather than, in the IQ, because what happens is that, I mean, sometimes our smarts gets in our way and really denies us from having the life that we want to have. It's about how we deal with things that really define our success. And our ability to overcome adversity is what defines how soon we'll have success, and how we deal with disappointment is also going to define that. So it's you know, people don't want to have these hard times, but it's in these hard times we find out who we are, you know. And again, going back to Michael Jackson, I mean, this guy did not have a life. His life was on the stage, and then when you get you know, your image scarred by the things that he did, and then having all that to contend with, I mean, it just puts you further and further in a hole, and it will take you out. I've been there. I've dealt with addictions. I've dealt with drug addictions, alcoholism. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of different dragons that have held me back in my life, but it's going through those that I really got in touch with who I was, and it really set me onto this path of self-development and educating myself on opportunity and business and everything else like that. I mean, I've learned more on my own than I ever learned in college. And it amazes me how many people are willing to invest, you know, $160,000 of their money in 4 years of their lives into an education where they're only going to get $30,000 a year. I mean, we just do so many things that we really don't even think about. And I've learned more in the last 5 years on educating myself than I have by any, you know, counseling, whatever. And you have the same opportunity to do the thing as well. But it's so important for you to get real about what it is that's holding you back, to take an honest assessment, to put people in your lives that you can trust, to have mentors in your life. I mean, mentors are so crucial to anything. I mean, you look at one of the greatest books I ever read was the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and in there they talk about having a sponsor and a mentor to guide you. And since then, that has set me on a principle that I've carried out throughout my whole life. And I have trusted friends. I have guys in my life that will call me out, and I have friends that I can ask, you know, about my public speaking and motivational speaking and stuff like that. Did I speak clearly? Was there things that, you know, you could see me improve and things like that? And I don't ask them to beat me up. They don't beat me up. They know where I want to go, and I trust them, and they speak into my life because they want my life to have a better, a higher quality of life. And it's important for everybody to get that in their lives. And you know, it's a tragedy. It really is a tragedy that Michael Jackson life ended the way it did. And I pray to God that I believe that he was a Christian man, and I believe that he is in heaven, and I hope that he has found peace, because he has lived a very tormented life on the other side of his fame and fortune. And you know, I just hope that everybody can look at this as an example of what happens when we when we're not real about our lifestyles, and not really taking into account the things that have happened to us, and really seeing who we are and getting in touch with who we are, and allowing people to speak into our lives that will help us rather than destroy us. Family is a powerful thing. Another book I read that was very profound in my success is Permission to Succeed by Noah St. John. It's so difficult for people to step out of the family environment that's toxic. There's all kinds of books out there on that, and it, you know, we do not want to disappoint our parents, and if our parents have told us certain things, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, is irrelevant. We don't see it one way or the other. But if they've taught us things that are destructive for us, you know, we need to have people in our lives that will hold us accountable to that and just really help us get on the path we want. But appreciate you stopping by. Again, sad day, man. It's hope that people can see the entire story, you know. And it's just, you know, he was an icon, incredibly gifted and talented, and but I hope everybody can see what, you know, looking at it like it is, and being able to see both sides of the story, and just using an example for us to strive. We learn from our teachers, and everybody is our teacher. Some teach us what we don't want to be, and others teach us what we want to be. So look at this situation as something that, for us to really reflect on our lives, and going after. He had no inhibitions in his creativity, had none, and he achieved great success because of that. But he also had many dragons and demons that he dealt with every day. So take care, God bless, and look forward to my next video. Subscribe to my videos, and look forward to the next one. Take care. Have a great day.